Hey guys, welcome to the reality.
Or welcome back to the reality.
It's episode 10. How exciting. We have a special guest today.
Please welcome Tara.
Woo!
Hi. Oh, I should have been episode 11. That's my favorite number.
Oh,
Damn.
should. Okay. So can we get right down to it?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay, cool. So how does it feel to represent all moms?
I loved representing the moms. I was super honored to have that role in the house to show that moms can be strong and tough too. And I loved that I was the mom in the house.
Nice. And were you always a Big Brother fan?
So I actually got into Big Brother when I became a mom. So when my son is going to be 8 in June and my daughter is 4. But when I was pregnant with my son, it's when it first came out in Canada. And my brother-in-law was like, I was all pregnant and barefoot, just waiting to have the baby. And he's like, oh my God, you're going to love this show. It's on 3 days a week. It's great. And that was the first time I saw it and I was hooked. So,
Hey.
and I always wished that it was around when I was younger. Like when I saw it, I was like, oh, I wish that this was around. I would love to try it. And then I would watch season after season. I'm like, no, I'm just going to go for it. I'm just going to try.
In the duo with Tina, that was
Yep.
your basically ride or die. Do you think that put a target on your back having you guys be in a duo?
I think so. This season was the seasons of duos. If you were in a duo, people were looking at you for sure. I think me and Tina really flew under the radar initially.
Mhm.
If people would say our name, I almost felt like it was a cover up. There was always bigger targets. We definitely played really low in the first half of the game. But of course, when you're in any sort of pair, it put the target on your back. Absolutely.
Nice.
Okay. And who do you think was your biggest competitor in the house?
I thought everybody in that, there were so many amazing competitors, so many different ways that people were playing the game. One of the things that I love about Big Brother is it's kind of anybody's game. It doesn't, the competitions are different. They're never just geared towards one person. So literally your biggest competition would change week by week because you just never knew what was coming next.
Very true. And you would seem to be always gunning for Jed right off the bat when Austin was HOH. Why was that?
So everybody always wants to know why I was gunning for Jed. So at the beginning of the game, when we were split into teams and we had Destiny and Defender, and Destiny won that first round, Spicy V came out with the win. And I don't know how it came about, but there was just this decision based in the house that we were going to let Defender choose who they wanted to evict and that we would just agree. And I never understood that concept because I'm like, well, we're playing in teams right now. Why aren't we going after some of like who we would think is the strong player? And for whatever reason, Jed was a name that was untouchable that very first week. So
Okay.
for me, that showed not only are you protected on the Defender side, I have people on my team that are protecting you too.
Yeah.
And that's just like, that's what made him a target for me. Because I'm like, I don't understand why you're so protected. You're obviously working with more people. There's a bigger picture and I'm not part of it. So if I don't know about it, you got to dismantle it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
And it was like now knowing like it was because of the Sunsetters, right? They were on both sides of the house.
Yeah. And when Kiefer was HOH, he had put up Kyle and Austin. And you were it showed you like when we were watching that you were frustrated that they weren't campaigning. Why were you mad?
That's so because I love Big Brother. And one of the things about Big Brother is the campaigns, right? You know, telling me why should I keep you in the game? What are you going to do for me? How do you value or how do you help my game? So in those first early weeks when people weren't campaigning, it was so frustrating because those campaigns are power too. You know, like give me a reason. Why should I keep you over the other person? And it's not necessarily throwing the other person under the bus. It's campaigning for yourself. So when people didn't campaign for themselves, I got frustrated.
And then why did you want Austin to go home over Kyle?
So that one is tricky because the way the show is filmed and there's so many personalities and there's so much happening, there's things that aren't always shown.
Mhm.
And people didn't know that myself, Tina, Kyle, and Rohan actually had an alliance very early on. Like that happened like week 1. So
Okay.
I was very close with Kyle and Ro in the house. We were obviously still feeling everyone out and who's where, but they were one of the first people that started to talk game with me. So we
Okay.
had something earlier on, which is also why I couldn't really get in on that flip between Josh and Rohan, that crazy flip that happened,
Yeah.
where I kind of had to be like, no, I'm not doing this.
Mhm.
So there's not enough show to show everything that's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You remember when you guys were outside near the hot tub and like Victoria was going crazy?
I don't think I'll ever forget that moment.
Yeah. Why do you like, how did you feel when like she was coming at you like that?
That was a very emotional day because again, me and Vic had a great relationship in the house. I know though in this game though, you know, she got put on the blocks next to me. You have to fight for your life. You have to do whatever you can. In that moment, was I absolutely hurt with some of the things that were being said? Of course, but big picture, you know, me and Spicy have a great relationship. She is a wonderful girl. It's just that moment in that game, but it was really hard if you've ever felt like you're an underdog or you don't deserve to be somewhere.
Mhm.
Me being one of the oldest people in the house, I didn't fit in as well as some of the other players. So I did, when she said it to me, I was like, oh, maybe I don't deserve to be here. That was hard. That was
Yeah.
hard for sure.
I know we watched it and we felt so bad. Should have just like kept it on the down low and just kind of like don't blow up. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
Big Brother.
It's hard in those positions though, because you do like the block, you just panic. And I do think that they wanted her to do that. Like they said,
Hey.
if you blow up on Tara, you know, we'll keep you. And then they didn't keep their end of the bargain either.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that they told her to.
They never
Yes,
showed that.
I heard afterwards that they wanted to see a little bit of drama because in the house, a lot of people didn't know where my head was at initially. And they wanted to see if any information would leak, which I mean, then I obviously leaked about the oddballs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they got what they wanted. They wanted to know who was working together.
Okay. And if you would have won that invisible HOH, who would you have put up? Would you put up, I guess, Jed and probably Ty?
Yeah, anybody in that power trio, because you could
Okay.
see the bonds that they had. And they're all wonderful people, but you knew that they were always going to be more loyal to each other. So it absolutely would have been a combination of the trio for sure, which would have either been Tashawn, Jed, or Beth. They were thick as thieves in the house. It was very visible. I definitely would have I would have done the same thing I did when HOH.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, I don't remember what the comp name was, but when they're putting like the balls in your tube. Okay, why do you think that they were putting it in yours?
Because they were working together. And that's what was so frustrating for me in those moments. Because, of course, you need alliances in this game. You need to have people that have your back. But at the end of the day, only one person could win. So I was getting frustrated because, you know, you want to play and you're so excited to be in this house. And when you have a competition like that, where you feel like there's 4 people literally ganging up on you so you can't win. And then the person who is the most, because that was a really physical, like it was crazy. We were all like drenched in sweat. Like they didn't even have to put all of those balls in my container. Like Jed would have won anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like he was destroying it, where I was like, why are you going after me? Like this guy is going to crush all of you if you keep him around. I don't understand what's happening. So I definitely had a temper tantrum that day for sure. For sure had a temper tantrum.
I mean, as we all would have probably.
Yeah.
It's
for
just
sure.
frustrating, especially when you feel like you're kind of doomed from the start, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you. And what are you most proud of? Like, what's your proudest moment in the house? Was it when you took out Jed?
Okay, so people would think that the battle back with Jed was actually very emotional for me. Because I didn't realize we did the trap door against Jed, and it was this epic move where we all worked together, and then they snaked me literally like 5 minutes later. And me and Jed in the HOH room before we did the battle back had this super like emotional, like he was consoling me. I felt terrible for even going after him because I learned that he was actually one of the most loyal people in the house. So although that moment I was proud of myself because I didn't think I could do it, I also didn't feel good because I did end up taking out Jed, and he does have this huge heart and he was so loyal to his people, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I had to pick a moment where I think I'd be the most proud would probably be that last veto where it was me versus the three boys and we were in like the superheroes. Like the first one,
Yes.
it was like in like the
Yes.
almost like the escape room, and then like the rain is pouring down. That was just the coolest thing I've ever done in my life. And to know that I took myself to the final three was unbelievable. That was a super awesome moment in the
Yeah, you did
house.
that comp really quick.
And the best part, I thought I totally blew that competition too, because I mixed up one of the numbers and I was like, oh my God, this one mistake. So when they said that I won, I had no idea. You don't know how everybody
Yeah.
else is doing.
You know,
Yeah.
like the way they show us, it looked like you were like losing,
Yes.
and like Bray was probably going faster or something. But like in the end, when you won, we were like, okay, like, you know, she did it quick.
Yeah.
And you were
And
also smart to make like the little
the
hole to
little
fit through
hole.
instead of because everyone else
Yes.
like took down all the numbers and then they were like,
Yeah.
oh no.
I know they told me they did that. And I was like, why would you break down the whole wall? I don't
Yeah.
understand.
You know, when you were in the HOH room with Jed, when you guys were going back, like going head to head
Oh,
for
yeah.
coming back, what did you tell him? Because
I
you
told him
said yes.
everything. I told him
Oh
everything.
really?
I told him all about the trapdoor. I told him that it was Kiefer's idea. I told him that it really took a lot of playing from me and Tashawn, because Tashawn had to lie to him to make that happen. I may have
Right.
told him that Beth turned on him like 3 hours after he used the veto. Like I was like, I'm just gonna tell you everything because I was part of doing you dirty and now they did me dirty. So I was thinking, if he goes back, I want him to go back and I want him to win. And for
sure.
him to win, he can't be as loyal to them a second time, you know, like he had to fight for himself. So I told him everything.
And then since you won against Jed, what was your plan? Like if you would have won that veto, that HOH, what was your plan? Would you have put up, like who would you have put up?
Um, the HOH coming back. Honestly, so at that point in the house, I think everybody thought that I would like put up like Beth or something, but I actually would have been putting up Tashawn and Kiefer.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Because when I won that battle back, when I got back into the house, everybody was pretty clear that it was Tashawn and Kiefer's idea to take me out instead of Beth. So that was kind of alarming where I was like, well, if you guys are the reason why I just got snaked like that, well then
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on the block,
For
you know?
sure. Yeah. And what made you decide to vote out Kiefer or Braden?
That was a really, really difficult decision. I had great personal relationships with both of them. A lot of people didn't know that I was actually working with Braden earlier in the game, though.
Okay.
We were in the oddballs. Like I was an oddball too. I was part of that alliance. And I was at that point in the game. Number one, I knew if I was going to get to the end, I had to take myself. Nobody was
Yeah.
going to take me. I had to take myself. If I wanted to win, I had to make big moves. I had to take myself there. And if I didn't win, I kind of wanted to see an oddball in the end, you know? Like I had been working with Braden closely, low key, that a lot of people didn't know because we were very subtle about our
Mhm.
relationship. But
We didn't even
he
see
played a
that.
similar game
Yeah.
to me where it's when you're underestimated and people don't think you can do anything and then you kind of come back. You know, I
Yeah.
always love the underdogs, but it was a very hard decision. It was hard.
For sure.
For sure. Yeah. And
And nobody was going to beat Kiefer in the end. Like
yeah.
he would have won if he was sitting in a final two situation in any scenario, he was most likely going to win. So it was
Yeah.
a big move. If I wanted to win, I had to get myself there and I had to make some big moves because you have to sell yourself at the end.
For sure.
Yeah.
And if you were, let's say, final two, who would you have brought with you? Would you brought, I guess, Braden?
I would have brought
Okay.
Braden. Yeah.
Okay.
Because it never showed you guys like working. Like I don't know if she saw it, but I don't think I saw it. Like you and Braden working together.
Yeah, it was never
No, well,
like
it's
shown.
there's so much like you're in that house for so long that they can't show everything, right?
Yeah.
You
I
know, like
know.
they're little and we did. It was very like a because we didn't hang out all the time. A lot of people didn't know that we were close. And especially when Austin left, Austin came up to me and Tina and was like, you can trust Braden. And then
Oh.
when Rohan and Kyle, when both of them left as well, they were very like, you can trust Braden, you can trust Braden. So as my allies started leaving in the house, they all said, you can trust Braden. Braden is good.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
just, you got to cram it down to like 1 hour.
Yeah. Very
True.
true.
And do you think that like, did you know that Ty was gonna take Brayden?
Yes.
You
Okay.
knew?
I
Like,
knew. I wasn't sure what Braden was going to do. I have learned now that he was going to take Sean, not me, because
yeah.
he was closer to him. But I didn't know at the time because he would tell me that he was going to, like, him cutting to Sean would be his power move because everybody said Sean was kind of playing him in the house, right? Like
Yes.
being very
Yeah.
flirty with him. He said the same when he cut Beth, like nobody puts me in my back pocket. So I thought if any of them were going to bring me, I had the best chance with Brayden, but find out none of them were ever going to take me. None of them were.
Yeah.
And what was slop like?
Slop is terrible.
As we keep
It's-
hearing.
Yes.
It's not good. It is not. It's got a really weird texture. It takes forever to cook. I
Oof.
mean, you can manage it. You can survive off it, but I would not recommend it.
Okay.
Huh. And what was like, I mean, you might have answered it, but what was your favorite comp?
Well, definitely the POV that I won at the end. That one was really, really cool. Although I didn't do very well in it, the very last comp where we were wearing like the light up suit, it was all like
yes,
black
yes.
and it had like it lit up. Like when you get in some of these costumes and you get to compete them, it is just the coolest thing. Like I remember putting that on being like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I feel so cool right now.
Cool. And then what was your, like, I guess, least fave comp?
So definitely the one with the grill.
Okay. Oh yeah, that
That
one
one
was
had
hard.
it was so hard. And so I'm small. I'm only 5 foot and I have like zero upper body strength. So the spatula was like as tall as me, but it was like, I would say it was like 15 or 20 pounds. So
Oh wow.
the only way that you could get the pieces to land on the grill is if you went underhand. But I physically couldn't, like if I tried to do it underhand, it just like went straight up in the air. It didn't go anywhere. So I literally just kept doing the same and none of them landed. It was so frustrating. That one was really, really tough. I couldn't wait for that one to be over. I was like, can somebody just win?
For
Do you
sure.
find that was like that was the hardest one? Or like
That
you
one
didn't really
and
like it?
well, I just don't, it was hard for me, I think, because of my size and because I wasn't strong enough
Mhm.
to be doing that. The hardest one was actually probably the second last one between myself, Braden, and Tashawn with the discs.
Oh yeah.
Oh
That
yeah.
balancing one, like that one, we did that for over 4 hours. My feet were bleeding from the boots that we were wearing.
For
We were
sure.
all sweating, exhausted. That one, we didn't think it would be that hard. And it was like,
That was
kudos for
frustrating.
Braden for getting that because that one was crazy hard.
Like
Crazy hard.
that comp went on for like 4 hours, right?
Over 4 hours.
That's
It
crazy.
was so long, like nonstop.
And then for when it was Braden and Ty, the final two, was it the I guess their speeches that persuaded you to vote a certain way, or did you know like when you exited the house that no, I'm voting for Bray?
I knew exiting the house that I was voting for Bray, and even Tashawn knew I was voting for Braden. I knew at that point in the game that I was going, and I was trying to help Braden with his speech because I do, I would have liked to see an oddball win. Braden is really, he's just so sweet, and I thought he played a really stellar game.
Mm-hmm.
Tashawn also played a great game, like two completely different styles, but Braden was on the block 5 times. He never got a single vote against him. He was on the block during like invisible HOHs and double evictions and like some of the crazy, most intense points in the game. And he was so good with everyone. He never had a single vote against him. And then won, 4 big comps to get himself there. So I wanted an oddball in the end. I think it is great that Tashawn won. His game is also amazing. Like they're both great guys. I was just Team Brave for sure.
And who did you not want to see win?
I don't honestly, that game is so hard. Anybody that gets in that game and makes it to the end, you deserve to win. It is so hard. There's nobody that I would say, oh, I'm so glad that they did. You know what I mean? It's just, it's such a hard game. Everybody plays it so differently. If you make it to the end, in my opinion, like you deserve something because it's really, really hard.
Like you should have gotten something too. Like I don't know why the Like final three, everyone should get something.
Yeah.
Third is the worst. Even, like a junior bacon cheeseburger from Wendy's.
Yeah.
Give me free cheeseburgers for a year or
Yeah.
something. Because it is to make it that far and then not get anything.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I know.
I mean,
It's-
I think every person in the final three should get something for sure.
Yeah.
And what is your life now outside of the Big Brother house? What have you been up to?
Well, I'm just trying to get back. It's so weird to be gone and in that setting. You almost have to adjust to life. And it's very overwhelming coming out because everybody's messaging you, everybody's calling you, and it's all beautiful. Like there's so much love and support. It's wonderful, but it takes you a minute to connect. So I've just been really with my kids, my husband, close like family and friends, and just starting to get back into that routine of, all right, well, it's mom life. Like life
Yeah.
goes on. Have to feed the
Like
kid
back
at
to
house.
normal.
Yeah, I got to feed the kids. Got to
Yeah.
get them off to school, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's life just goes back to normal.
And was your time in the house did you guys find it really, really long?
Some days it felt really long, and then some days it felt like it was just flying by. It was the weirdest, maybe because we have no actual concept of time.
Yeah.
It was like there were moments in that house where I was like, this feels never ending. And then when it was coming to an end, it was like, I can't believe it's almost over.
Yeah.
It's a weird feeling.
We still find it crazy that like you guys don't know the time.
Yeah.
No, you don't know anything.
That's
You
crazy.
literally know nothing. And once you think you know something, you're always wrong. You're never right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, we just
Okay.
wanted to say thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you
thanks.
for having me. And everybody who's watching this, continue to watch these girls. I am so proud of you guys
Thank
getting
you.
this podcast up and going. I want to start a podcast. I'm going to have to get tips from you guys on how
Yeah,
to
for
do
sure.
it.
Of course.
Good for you guys. You're doing a great job.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Well, bye, guys.
See you
Bye, guys.
later. Bye.
Bye.